Welcome to the NMRW. It's the New Media Review Weekly with me, your host, Joe Seppi. I want to start off by talking about this Alex Honnold character. He is quite the character. I mean, if you were writing a story and you needed to create a really eccentric rock climber, it would be this guy. No time for anyone else. I gotta face the mountain, bro. He's all over Netflix, right? He's all over YouTube. The Free Solo movie is where he climbs El Capitan. The captain, right? El Capitan. Don't do that, obviously, right? Unless you have some kind of safety equipment. And even then, stop. And definitely, certainly don't climb a skyscraper, but he wants to do it. It's always fascinating when someone is so entrenched in the idea of completing a mission. I've been on that path before. Alex talks a lot about how he's all about performance, right? He says things like other people like to do things like have fun and be with people they love. For me, it's all about performance. I think he says that in the Free Solo movie. Time to be nice to yourself, bro. Like, I understand at this point you have a family, you need to make money and climb skyscrapers on Netflix. But yikes. And then I think I have a clip of the moment where he's done with it. He finishes, rather, and he's with his wife, and she's like, let's say hi to the babies at home, and he's like, they're not watching. The way he says it, I don't know, it took me back at first. When I went back to listen to it, it's not as great, it's not as funny as I initially took it. You guys will have to judge for yourselves. Let the kids watch. So in 2004, we have it's Taipei 101. That's the name of the skyscraper. It was the tallest building in the world up until 2004, I believe, or maybe it was built in 2004, but I guess it's 1,667 feet from the ground to the sky. It's not necessary, home slice. But Alex is so interesting because he has this thing about, when you do things like this, everybody, the question that you get is, aren't you afraid of falling? Okay, obviously he's not, right? He likes to remind people that their time is finite and you can do hard things if you try. That's his performance mentality. You can do hard things if you try. Bro takes that to the limit. Brother takes it to a new height. So who's he proving it to? Is it to himself? Is it to his mom, who in the Free Solo movie gets a little weird? Talking negative about her ex-husband, Alex's father, who passed away when he was 19. Okay, so now I start analyzing it psychologically. Okay, dad dies at 19. Don't you wish he was here to see you climb that skyscraper? And I think, yes, he does. He talks about it. That's why I'm saying that. Isn't that fascinating? Dad dies at 19. Mom, not the most loving. So, we're all trying to fill this hole. I'm filling this hole with the podcast. I'm filling a hole with the music that I make. I'm filling a hole with my little Kubrick essay and my little Kubrick little mini documentary that I'm going to be putting out, I think, this coming week on YouTube about the killing. But what a crazy thing to fill the hole with, to fill the emptiness with, is just to absolutely stand toe-to-toe with death. And how poignant, my little theory as it goes anyway, that you would fill the hole possibly generated by the death of a loved one with near-death experiences. Why does he do it? When asked why he does it, he states, quote, "Because it's awesome, because I get to," with a big smile on his face. That made me laugh so hard. It's because of like the Alex Honnold memes and little videos, Instagram shorts that are floating around right now, where everybody's doing a little imitation of him. You know, he's a wide-eyed guy. I'm not going to sit here and say bug-eyed. Not gonna sit here and say bug-eyed. No. Dude has big eyes. You're not gonna tiptoe around the size of the man's eyes. I'm a fan of his, by the way. I'm being silly today. I'm very tired. I'm doing one of these a week no matter what. So take all this with a grain of salt. I'm not making excuses. I think this is awesome content, dude. But I'm talking about the size of a rock climber's eyeballs right now, if you know what I'm saying. Not exactly the height of creativity. But I do have index cards. So there's effort going into this. But like, it's like he can't explain why he's doing it, because it's awesome, because I get to. And I guess I don't get it because I'm not viewing it from the perspective of a rock climber. Right? I'm a 6'5", 350 pound son of a gun. I'm not going to be going toe to toe with El Capitan anytime soon. So he just loves doing it so much. I've asked myself why I'm doing things that I love before. I used to play live music a little bit, and, you play shows at 10 o'clock at night for no pay. I know people who have played shows at 1 a.m. for no pay, to no one. I could almost, it's more understandable to climb a mountain for free with nobody watching. Just because you have to do it, but I hope he straps up sometime soon. I hope he wears some ropage. He needs somebody belaying him, in my opinion. So he does it because it's awesome, because he gets to, right? We can all relate to that. There's stupid things that we do. It's stupid to climb a building with no gear when you have a family, no getting around it. Even if you make $1 million, it was stupid. So, to each his own. Teach his own. My grandpa used to say, to each his own. So I grew up thinking it was teacher zone. Like the teacher zone, Z-O-N-E. So Alex Honnold is living in the teacher zone. But then I'm watching this, right? It premiered, I think, 2 Fridays ago. On Netflix. It was like one of these live Netflix premieres where they're pretending that it's like TV, not streaming. Where you can't rewind, I think. It's like, hello? Jeez Louise. Hey, Netflix. I get doing a live premiere. Remember 2001 TiVo? Let me rewind if I need to, you sons of bastards. Nobody watches these videos right now, or maybe they never will, but nobody watches them right now. That's the fact. So I'm not about to curse and get these things taken down. Last week's podcast, NMRW number 4, was removed from Spotify. Woo! I loved that episode. It's our first hour-long episode. They took it down. They took it down, actually, literally to Chinatown. I had to go to Manhattan. It was a whole big deal. It was a big thing. So I uploaded it to YouTube. I'm going to upload this to YouTube as well. It took about 17 hours to get on the site, baby. It took about 17 hours to upload. I don't know why. I have a decent computer. Hope it doesn't break anytime soon. Can't afford a new one. All right. But what I was saying was, we watched the premiere of this skyscraper on Netflix, and I'm saying, it's kind of like climbing a really terrible ladder. Like, is this as hard as climbing a mountain? Apparently not, because the quote from Honnold goes, "It's not the hardest thing you've ever done, not insanely challenging," unquote. So it goes back to what I'm saying, like, he's putting his life on the line. Because that's what you got to do when you're a professional rock climber. If you're a professional rock climber and you don't climb something, then what are you? A professional person or just a human being? Not gonna fly. Free climber Emily Harrington was on Rogan. I thought she said some interesting stuff about Alex's perspective. That is the first little minute of this clip right here. Let's take a listen to it.
Than almost anyone I know on El Cap. Most people at least feel a little bit of intimidation, a little bit of fear, like, there's a little bit of anxiety around it, and he's just, it's so casual that he was like, yeah, you should just just run it out, like go all the way. Like, he was basically just wanting me to do it the same way that I was doing it before, and I was like, Alex, I'm gonna be a little slower this time. Like, I think I need that for my head. And he was
he felt like you should do it with the same amount of gear that you did before.
Yeah,
don't fall. Just don't fall this time, Emily.
Yeah, kind of.
Real simple.
A little bit, yeah. He was like, but Alex, the one thing he always says is he's just like, okay, follow your heart. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go slower.
Yeah. Don't encourage people to be unsafe, right? And following your heart leads me perfectly into my next point, because I don't know what's possessing bro to keep doing this, honestly. I want people to do hard things. Guess what? Not this. And also, wear a parachute. Everybody I was looking at some Instagram comments. Oh, the parachute wouldn't have enough room to open. Wear it. Right? Wear it. Wear a paraglider or something. I don't know. Maybe in 1,000 years we'll have a paraglider that you could fit in your back pocket. But then Rogan goes into one of his Roganisms, which I found hilarious, because, I've listened to Rogan back since like 2010, 11. And especially back then, he relied on Roganisms. Here's a story that he's told 1,000,000 times.
Well, so the audience knows, Alex told me that he did a route once, and on his way up, realized that he hadn't brought any chalk.
He loves this.
Whew.
So he had to borrow it from someone else who was strapped to ropes. So he's free soloing.
Yeah.
No chalk.
Yeah.
Says, hey, I don't have any chalk. And the guy...
Russian roulette. Not sure why. Anyway, Mount Talek is a mountain outside of Lake Tahoe that's about 10,000 feet tall, and Alex set off under-equipped and under-prepared as he began his ascent. But as Alex climbed higher and higher, things began to go badly. Rock turned to snow. Snow turned to ice, and ice turned to regret.
Ice turned to regret?
Eventually, after reaching a point where Alex felt he could go no further, he decided to climb back down. But little did he know, he was about to break the Mount Talek down climb record.
So when he says break the Mount Talek down climb record, he doesn't mean it literally, no. He doesn't mean it literally, no. He means he fell. He means he fell. He means he fell. He slid down the mountain, bro. Where's your gear now, dog? No, I'm just kidding.
Slipping on the ice, Alex lost his footing and fell. Tumbling 400 feet down the mountain, Alex got a concussion, broke multiple ribs, punctured his sinus, and broke both hands. What is with him in the hands?
It's actually, it's actually a very good video. You should go check it out. It's climbing stuff. The kid or the guy who makes these channels, I shouldn't call him a kid. He might be 38. He does a great job. He didn't put his name on the video at all, but it's climbing stuff. You don't really need to put your name on YouTube videos. You just need to have a great channel name. Nobody really cares who you are. Nobody cares what you're saying. Not him, but just in general. But climbing stuff. Check that out. It's worth it. I liked it. The next clip is talking about climbing gear, saying you trust your life with that. He's talking about like a little piece of metal that you stick into a rock, and apparently it holds your body weight. Let me see if I can think of the best answer when he says you trust your life with that. Yeah, bro. You use nothing. He's obviously joking when he says it, but yeah. There's some truth in it, in those big, beautiful eyes of his. He's a brown-eyed boy, I think. When he says it, there's some truth in it, even though he is joking. Like, you actually trust your life with that? I think what he's saying, because he has this deep psychology, whatever it might be, diagnosed as, he's kind of saying, why aren't you free climbing? I just know he is. I think he wants everybody to do it, honestly, but he keeps it to himself, maybe. That's just my opinion. Can't come after me for opinions. But yeah, speaking of ice, he slid 400 feet down some, broke both of his hands. Not a great look for a free solo climber, but it happens to the best of them. Let's hear that.
The trigger end. There's like a flat plate and a little, it's not a ball, it's like a partially rounded.
Basically a tiny, tiny piece of metal about the size of my fingernail that looks like you could snap it off with your fingers.
You slide it and put it in the crack and release the trigger, and it expands like a cam would, but it's just a lot smaller.
All right, forget about whatever I thought he was going to say. You slide it, you put it in the crack, and it expands. You pull the trigger. Hey, don't say that. No. Try not to say what you said. I know it's live. Yeah. Don't say that would be my number one piece of advice if I met her in person. I think that's the same chick. Sorry, girl, woman. But it doesn't matter. In the end, one of the funniest things that I ever saw on live TV was when he said that the kids weren't watching. I don't know why it was so funny. It's like it gives you an insight into their relationship. They're two very intelligent people. He's like not a people person at all. She's like very bubbly, smiley. We're not going to say fake. We're just going to say bubbly, smiley. She's kind of like always acting like a local news channel in a big market news anchor. And if you're acting like that in front of your husband, it's really strange to me. I don't really know how to be fake or phony, so when I see people that may not even be fake and phony, but they're very, very socially adept and free, it's off-putting to me. Let me show you this clip that I was talking about. See if you feel the same way.
You're getting the sun, baby.
I can't see it.
It's awesome.
Oh wait, we should say hi to kids. Hi Summer.
They're not watching.
I know, but still.
Hi, babies. Yeah, they're not watching.
Hi Mom.
Don't say it twice, right?
All right.
Who's with me?
Get the
All
squad.
my friends.
Who's with me when I say don't say it twice? It was so funny when I first heard it because it was like we were on this train of laughing about how Alex Honnold has a very organized and particular way that his brain works, and just the fact that he had to say they weren't watching like that. Like, she was so excited about it, but he was so unaware that it would break her spirit to say that. Excuse me. To say that, it made me laugh. It's not as funny as when I first heard it, but I don't really have enough material to, like, not play that clip right now. So, we gotta play it. But we gotta move on. I want to talk about the craziest, possibly the craziest little YouTube video that ever got put on YouTube. I mean that. I've seen a lot of YouTube shorts. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos. We all have. I've been watching YouTube since 06, baby. I'm 35. I'm old. Some people say I'm a baby. I'm actually a baby. Like Shia LaBeouf in one of the clips from the NMRW number 4, last week's episode, was saying that he's just a baby and he didn't understand Coppola's point of view. So maybe I'm just a baby, but I don't know how old he is. I think he's probably about 35, maybe, Shia LaBeouf. Who's heard of TraxNYC? Maksud. How do you say the last name? Agadjani, baby. Maksud Agadjani. They call him Max. He's got like a little nickname. It's Trax. He likes stuff. He likes metal. Gold and silver. He makes a lot of money when he sells it. So, if you haven't heard of TraxNYC, it's TraxNYC. It's a YouTube channel. That's really what it is. I understand there's a store, but the business is built on YouTube. I think he knows that, but he doesn't really like to say it or admit it. He's really, without YouTube, he's just another diamond dealer in the district. But, and I really mean that, it's not a put down. He knows that. But this is wow. There was a brawl, and he goes into somebody who's working in the same building as him who owes him money, and he absolutely flips out on him. He goes King Kong on that mother, and he flips out. I mean, he definitely incited the riot, right? He incited the riot that took place. I did reach out too, because he mentions that his attorney's name was Bradford Cohen. He was bragging about this Bradford Cohen in a YouTube video that he made, because he's doing a lot of damage control after this, because golly Jesus, he doesn't look good, okay? Max does not look good in this, and he knows that. So there is some damage control being done. Max is out on the streets throwing money to the people. He does it in a very disdainful way, where it's almost... Max doesn't like poor people. There's no way around it. He has this idea that, I guess it's like an immigrant mentality. I'm not sure exactly where he's from. Maybe Azerbaijan. That, it's hard to say this so factually, but it's a matter of fact. Like, he thinks he's better. I'm not hating on the guy. It's an analysis. Like, he has a little problem where he thinks he's better than other people because he's made a lot of money, and it's just distasteful when people behave that way. Like, it's already tasteless to be giving people money out on the street who really need it, and it's like, I'm gonna pay my rent now, and like telling them that you're blessing them and whatnot. But I'm gonna play you some stuff that might shed some light on it. It's not a hit piece on Max. It's just my opinion on him definitely changed based on his behavior. He's always had an anger problem, but so if this was real, this is one of the angriest, some of the angriest vibes I've ever gotten from a human being. This was crazy. You got to check it out. Just search TraxNYC, Brawl, what have you. Let's get into it a little bit. This is an interview from the Power 105.1 FM radio show, and the families of the Diamond District is like run by Jewish families. This is according to Max, and like the families are at war. I don't know. Like, I keep wanting to say somebody should make a movie about this. Uncut Gems is one of my favorite movies, but it doesn't get into this enough. Check this out. I don't know. Check it out.
Might be talking about going to war with this family of people that have been, after me for 5 years, for absolutely no reason other than they were told to do so by another snake, Nitin, Invinit. They were set upon me, what I'm saying, in old grimy Diamond District fashion, in the tradition that's been going on for hundreds of years of smiling in your face while trying to put a knife in your back, or just doing grimy old street roach games. And I just had enough of it, and I had to shut it down.
Yeah, bro, it makes sense that there's going to be some roach games. You're in a business where you're selling stuff that, the value is almost based on nothing at this point. Not necessarily gold and silver. I understand these things hold value. But diamonds, I mean, even Moses the jeweler, if you follow him at all, he's right alongside Trax, or even maybe a little more popular right now. They don't know whose coattail to ride. It should Moses ride Trax's, or should Trax ride Mose? We don't know, but you're in the business of selling lab-grown diamonds. If nobody can tell the difference, and you're the only one who has the machine that can tell the difference, come on, get real. But it's interesting that it's like there's this. It's because it's the gray market, right? It's not the black market. It's the gray market where you can sell used goods at an extremely high price, and it's kind of gray because you can get ripped off. It's gray because you can get ripped off, and that's the business you're in, Max. Don't pussyfoot around it necessarily. You're not you don't make dental hardware. You don't produce X-ray machines for hospitals. You sell stuff that you value. And if the consumer likes it enough, they pick it up, I guess. But yeah, it's very interesting. He's very, very, very out of touch. He came up in the 90s, early 2000s. He got wealthy in Manhattan. And he says things like the reason our bills are so high is because of very, very complicated theft in the government. He was like belittling the fact that people complain about their bills, and yikes, buddy. It just sounds out of touch because you don't have to think about your bills. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about the average American is not told about $38 trillion in national debt. That's $38 trillion that was spent. Now, if you gave me $38 trillion, I would make the Brooklyn Bridge out of gold, and I have it 10 lanes wide each way.
Not the most well-read dude. Just not creative, right? Like, obviously, he's on the spot, improvising, talking. He's confident. But first of all, I don't think that would cost $38 trillion. Of course it wouldn't. You're not going to make it out of gold. I think he really means it. You know what I mean? Bro loves gold. And it doesn't need to be 10 lanes wide. So what he's saying is, like, he's like this conservative attitude where he knows how to spend money. And he's about to talk about how the reason bills are high is because of theft. And not to mention, the average American, he says, is not told that the national debt is $38 trillion. Why not? The average American can certainly understand that. The average American can read it, can hear it. Hello? And then I got off track because I was going to say I reached out to their lawyer. I actually called Bradford Cohen's office and asked for a comment, but they said they had no comment. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was real professional of me. I got nothing out of it, and I'm telling you about it for no reason. But yeah, listen, I don't want to bore myself with this too much anymore. I came up with this stuff on like Monday at work. And in between calls at work, I basically wrote all these notes. But I just don't like the fact that Trax, like, I don't care if somebody owes you money necessarily. They might be scummy individuals, but the way he handled it was not inspiring at all. And the damage control of going out on the street and throwing dollar bills up in the air to show that you're some kind of a moral human being is not fooling anybody. I had this clip where Frank Tufano from YouTube, if you know Frank Tufano, that's hilarious. But Frank Tufano has a YouTube channel. You could check that out. And he was saying that he spent $5,000 on a custom necklace or some BS. And it took 8 months. They held on to his deposit for like 8 months. That's shady business too. Like, you're in the Diamond District. Every piece of business will be shady. I understand you might get a better deal than at K or De Beers, but you don't know where the stuff's coming from. You don't know who it used to belong to or whose neck it just got pulled off. And I don't want to hear nothing from Max when it comes to being an upstanding business person. You're in the district. And you don't have to scratch and claw for money anymore. You take, you could make your own jewelry now, but you can't tell me. I think some watch dealers just came into his shop. Again, you don't know where these watches came from. You don't know what they are. You don't really know who really made them. It's the gray market. I I don't care if you bring out a little monocle and look at the serial number on a Rolex, you know. You're not fooling anybody. I think that's enough of that. Oh, that's enough of that. You know, the Zappa Family Trust is actually releasing the 50th anniversary of Bongo Fury. Everybody should go check that out. I think it's a good idea to support the Zappa family. I don't know what they're up to exactly, but everybody's got to make money. And if your dad was Frank Zappa and you can sell some, and if your husband was Frank Zappa and you can re-release some material, I'm all for it, I think. You know, I don't have too much experience with Bongo Fury. Bongo Fury is the Zappa Captain Beefheart Mothers album. I think you have to have a certain amount of patience to listen to it, probably. It's not exactly overnight sensation or one size fits all or hot rats, but I think it's probably fairly great. So check that out. It's a little new piece of media, the 50th anniversary edition of Bongo Fury. The other thing I wanted to talk about was I dropped the Kubrick addiction for about a week and a half, but I'm back into it now. There's a documentary that is now on YouTube. I think it's called Kubrick: A Life in Pictures. Wow, so inspiring. He was the best. He was really the best. The way his daughter speaks about him was, you know how it is when you're talking about your parents and they were like, artistic geniuses. She was a little resentful in the doc when she talked about him. I like that a lot. That's the most revealing thing in the doc about the guy. You want to get into the guy's head and learn about him a little bit, you have to listen to what his kids say about him. His wife, Christiane, is extremely reverent and respectful. The daughter, whose name I can't think of right now, she was basically saying that he would speak to them he would get into work mode and directorial mode, and she didn't necessarily always like the way that he would tell her what to do. Of course, she probably loves him very much, but it was very revealing to his personality, he was outspoken. One of the most inspiring things was hearing about how Stanley's father cashed in his spent his life savings to help Stanley make his first feature length, which I think is, I forget the name of it, Fear and something. I have to look that up. It doesn't matter, honestly, right now. You can look it up yourself, but that's so beautiful. Of course, you're going to become the great Stanley Kubrick if you have support like that. I loved that. That was amazing. I want to buy my kids. I want to be the producer of my kids' first movies if they ever make them, for sure. And then on the subject of Kubrick, we're going to be talking about Kubrick probably for the next few months on this pod. I did get into Coppola a little bit. He's wonderful to listen to, speaking wise. I watched Twixt, and I watched oh my god, what's the name of that movie? It was beautiful. It's the black and white one. They filmed it in Argentina. Vincent Gallo. Oh my god, I can't think of the name of it. You got to look that up. Coppola, Vincent Gallo. I think it's like 2009. Argentina, absolutely beautiful. My brain's just not firing right now. That was a gorgeous movie, but Twixt was really fun. It's unlike anything you've ever seen. I guarantee you that. Check out Coppola's Twixt. Twixt. There is a free version of it on YouTube right now. I don't know. Maybe it'll get taken down sometime soon, but it's up there now. I should call this podcast but Kubrick, what I'm doing right now, is breaking down. I'm going to make a few YouTube videos on this movie, The Killing, from 1956 by Kubrick. It's got to be one of the best movies of the 50s. And the way Stanley uses this concept of a timeline where you're actually giving the audience times like 7 a.m., 8:15, 9:20, 3:32, 4:29. Must have been fascinating back in the 50s. It's still fascinating now. And there's a lot of interesting stuff in that movie, from Stanley's fascination with chess and the chessboard and life to just how creative the script writing is and the story. They took this book and rewrote it into a screenplay. Apparently, Stanley hired a writer to write the screenplay, but then kind of took writing credit. I think Stanley probably had a hand in it. The writer is credited with dialogue, and Stanley is credited as the writer. But it's kind of it's like going to film school in terms of like when they say show don't tell. And I have a lot of cool examples of that, and I want to get into the timeline. And there's also something very interesting in there that I haven't seen anybody else talk about, but it goes hand in hand with things Kubrick would do like 30 or 25 years later, like in The Shining and stuff like that. So that's the type of things we're going to be getting into on YouTube and on this pod. I might release the YouTube video audio as a podcast on Spotify. I'm not sure. Spotify likes to take my pods down, apparently. This shouldn't get taken down. These are just like news clips and what have you. I don't know. It's called fair use, but it's an automatic thing. It's not like anybody's actually doing it to me, but whatever. I put episode number 4 up on YouTube. You can check that out. This is episode number 5. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to do one a week no matter what it takes. Nobody can stop us now, boy. And I understand that I got to bring my A game when it comes to these Kubrick videos and Coppola videos. And also, I got to title these videos better. People don't care what I know. People don't care who I am, so that's why the episode of NMRW number 4 is not called that. It's called... I was going to call it Shia LaBeouf is a whiny little baby, but I thought it would be too forward. Still nobody's watching it, but they will. They will. Last night I rented Eyes Wide Shut on YouTube again. I don't know why I spent the money. It was $6, but I did it anyway. I'm going to go watch it right now. I'm taking some notes on that. I don't think it's as dark of a movie as everybody makes it out to be. It might actually be a hopeful movie, according to Nicole Kidman. That's how she felt on the set. I think Stanley made her feel that way, so there's something to be said about that. Maybe a video with the title where it's like, Eyes Wide Shut is actually wholesome? Something like that. I don't know. But I don't even want to get into what I'm talking about when it comes to The Killing, because there's one thing in there that I think Kubrick fans will find very interesting. I don't think it's going to go viral, but it's something I noticed, and it's like niche enough that I might be the first person to talk about it. And that's what I'm into. I want to do things that people haven't done before, because I'm Giuseppe. Wow. Excuse me. It's the NMRW, the New Media Review Weekly. Thanks for listening. Check it out.